Yo guys, it's JJ here, and today I'm going to be walking you guys through a beat that I made especially for the new Young Nudy album, Gumbo. Super hard, super fire. I'm going to be drawing inspiration from a bunch of different tracks. But before we get into the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're on the way for 1,000 subs. I see a bunch of you ain't subscribed, so come on, show some love, some support. Highly appreciated. And as well as that, in the description, I've got a bunch of free kits. So if you ain't got one yet, go grab one. To start off the beat, first thing you need to know, we in the scale of G minor, as you can see here, and the BPM of 140, which is quite a common range, BPM wise for Young Nudy. Second thing you need to know is the first VST we have used is Analog Lab 5, and we're using a preset called Satellite. And this is the pattern I've laid down, a very simple repeating kind of arc thing. However, this part of the beat draws inspiration from Peaches and Eggplants, which is the song with 21 on it. I really like the beat going on there, so drew inspiration with the main melody. And without further ado, this is what it sounds like. And there you have it. Simple, nice, repetitive, catchy. That's how Young Nudy does it. And as well as that, he goes for a lot of these cheap kind of sounds in his beats, in my opinion, and nice soft pads, as you could hear from this, so that's why I use the sound. As for effects, it was very simple. Use this kind of telephone EQ, and I use Valhalla Vintage Verb, just adding a bit of reverb, making it a bit more ambient. And the last thing I actually did was stereo separate this around 30%. Next up in the melody, we got ourselves a instance of Expand 2, and when it comes to Young Nudy beats, I can't lie, if you ain't got Analog Lab 5, I really recommend just using Expand 2. It's such a good plugin for these kind of beats, and Purity as well. For this instrument, we got ourselves a synth called the AT Romantic, and it's from the Soft Leads preset. And again, from what you guys can see, melody, very simple, just repeating itself every 2 bar. And we're starting off at the D because just like in the previous melody, we started at D. And it's just this nice little kind of cascading down the ladder effect and then just dragging the note out. But without further ado, this is what it sounds like. And there you guys have it. Also, as you guys can see real quick, we are using pretty much 3 notes from the notes that are in a part of the tension in the scale, if that makes sense. So as you guys can see, when we look at the scale, there's these 2 notes that are highlighted and these 2 notes. These are notes when they're 1 semi-tone apart, creates tension, giving a bit of a dark vibe, which is obviously what Young Nudy goes for. So that's also why I use these notes throughout the beat. As for effects, we got ourselves a instance of Fruity Chorus, basic default preset, added an EQ on top of it, cutting off all the lows, and the Fruity Love filter on top of it, just to duck a bit of the harsh frequencies from the lead. And then on top of that, we added a fair amount of reverb using Valhalla Vintage Verb, just to make it quite ambient, drown it out into the mix as you guys could hear. Next up, we're using an instance of Expand 2 again, and we are using a synth bass, preset from the synth bass bank, of course, and it's called Love the 80s. So as you guys can see, this is the pattern I've laid down for it. It's a very unorthodox pattern because it's not following any root notes, and that is because Young Nudy got a nice little bounce, so use your creativity when it comes to it. And as you can see, simple pattern that repeats every 4 bar, and essentially, in my opinion, it's pretty much a 2-bar pattern, except all I did for change here was take these 2 notes and just take them down to a G. And once you hear this bass, you'll know exactly what I'm on about. It sounds very much like what you'd hear in the Young Nudy beat. So this is what the bass sounds like. There we have it, and as you can see, we're already getting this nice little Young Nudy vibe, so let's move on to the final component of the melody. And by coincidence, we are using Expand 2, yes again, because it's such a dope VST for these beats, and I'm using a preset called the Xmas Support, and it's from the Bells Bank. As you guys can see, simple pattern, using the D sharp and the D, and again, these 2 notes are 1 semitone apart, so it sounds kind of nice and dark. That just further emphasizes, the whole dark vibe that Young Nudy goes for. And of course, as for effects, we start off with a very basic EQ, cutting off a lot of the lows and the highs. Then I added this fruity delay 3, as you can see, and these are the presets that I put down, just to give it a nice little bit of a delay effect, making it a bit more trippy. And of course, reverb, because ambience. So without further ado, this is what the melody sounds like. And there we have it. But as you guys can see from the main melody, it's a lot of repetition, a lot of notes that are in tension, Again, keeping it simple, using cheap sounds, but we also use them effectively, and that's how we just achieved our whole sound overall. But it's time to move into the drums. So first things first, we got ourselves what I call a no-lie snare. If you know the League by Playboy Carti, no lie, you'll know exactly what snare I'm on about. We've all heard it. You can even say it's the Out West snare, you know, the one from the Jack Boys tape. That is the snare I use. And as you can see, the pattern is very, very basic. So that's all it is. We've got ourselves, of course, the hi-hats. Very simple pattern, repeats itself every 2 bar. You know, as I just said before, simplicity is key for young Nudy. So all I did was go on the magnet tool, go half step, and as you can see, all I had to do was just click the notes in. Quite simple like that. And then for the second part here, it's just a simple like little triplet roll. And then just copy and paste it for the full 8. Quite simple and straightforward. So this is what the hi-hat and the clap sounds like. So this is what the hi-hat and the snare sounds like. And there we have it. Nice, dope snare, dope hats, but let's just move on. Next up, of course, we got ourselves a kick pattern, and this essentially just follows the bass line that goes throughout the whole thing. So that's all I've really done, just repeating it again every 2 bar. And then another very important thing you need to know is clicking Control A, highlighting all of your notes for the kick, and then using your scroller wheel to max the velocities out. Because, and I repeat this in literally every video, maxing your velocities makes your kick and your 808 sound much punchier, goes through the mix a bit nicer, sounds dope for producers and artists, and it just helps make that trap sound hit harder, so really recommend doing that. And then, last but not least, we got ourselves 2 perks that I've added to really, you know, give that young Nudy vibe to the beat. I got myself a nice little vox that hits either every 1, but literally every 2 bar, and it sounds like this. We've all heard it, we all love it. And then I've also got a second perk, which is called that perk, you know. So that's the perk that's there, and all it sounds like is this. And this literally hits just before the vox hits, so it's a nice little compliment to each other. But without further ado, this is what the full beat sounds like. And there we have it, folks, full beat made. As for the pattern and the layout of the beat, it's really simple, but I'm gonna walk you through it. For the intro, we just got ourselves this melody, playing the main one, of course, and then I've got myself the bass line that comes in literally 2 bars after. Got this nice little drum pattern that comes in, but then remove the hi-hats just before the chorus hits. And then for the chorus, I use a 2 8-bar chorus, which is essentially a 16-bar hook. We've got ourselves the main melody in with the bass and the lead. For a little switch up, I literally just add in the bells, you know, because variation, and that's how we have that full 16-bar. First, we start off with just the melody. The 808s are playing with the kick, and then the snare and the hats come in a bit later. Then we look into the middle part of the chorus, which is like the main part, and we've pretty much got the rest of the perks coming in. We've added a lead for, you know, a little bit of melodic emphasis. And then for the last part of the verse, I like to call this the pre-hook because, you know, it's the verse that comes just before the hook. So I did a little breakdown, leaving it to the snare 808 and pretty much putting in all the key components apart from the bass. Then halfway through, introduce the hi-hats, take them out again to the end. And essentially that's the whole pattern. All I just do is copy and paste this over again, giving us this pattern here. And then I just copy and paste the chorus, giving us the chorus here. And there you have it, folks. Full beat for young Nudy's Gumbo. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, of course. Really appreciate the support. And of course, take it easy. Peace.